Hey everybody, this is Dr. William Clark here, and before we jump into our show, I wanted to share a resource with you that can help you get your podcasting off the ground. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and really easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad to you. So if you want to get started with podcasting and you want to make it as simple as possible, go ahead and visit anchor.fm/start. Now, let's jump into our show. Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark here. So glad that you're joining us for the Dr. William Clark podcast. This podcast is focused on helping nonprofits simplify the fundraising processes they use so they can build six-figure programs without chasing funders. I don't know about you, but I wish I knew this information before I started working in the nonprofit world years ago. But I'm here to help you build six-figure programs, and I'm here to help you on your journey. So would you be so kind to not only listen to this podcast, would you also rate? Would you also subscribe? Would you also comment on this podcast wherever you're listening? And lastly, would you also be kind enough to share this podcast with a friend or a colleague who you believe can benefit from the content we're sharing? Now, we are here to help and support you on this journey, and I believe that we have some resources that can help you quite a bit. So go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast. Now, let's jump into our show. Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark. Glad to be with you again. I wanted to revisit something I talked about earlier this week about creating this culture of fundraising. But more specifically, I wanted to talk about creating sub goals for people who are part of the fundraising process. And I think there are a lot of things I think gets overlooked in the nonprofit space. I have my theories as to why. I feel like there are a lot of things overlooked, but this obviously is one of them. But it's a challenge when you have fundraising expectations and goals, and yet, the nonprofit itself does not set sub goals for people, members of the team who are part of the fundraising process. That becomes very difficult. That's a difficult proposition to make to any organization, to not give targets for people. And let me be more specific, targets that make sense for the goals of the organization. What I've seen over the years is what makes giving goals to staff members, team members, senior members, whatever you want to call them, even board members, what makes it hard for that to happen is when the nonprofit itself does not have clear goals or any goals at all relative to fundraising. I have this example I keep using about raising $5 million to build a community center. And that may or may not be relevant to you, but it's a motif, it's an avatar of what it means to have a goal for something so specific, right? And it doesn't mean you don't fundraise for traditional existing programming. Actually, you continue to do that. But to have a capital campaign relative to building an infrastructure or something big or launching something big and new that requires a lot of capital, you're going to have this big old goal, this thing the organization as a whole is chasing after. But then as you dip down further into the organizational infrastructure, it's going to be imperative for every member of the team, no matter who they are, to have goals. Now, if you have somebody in your team who is the fundraising person, the development person, the grants person, and you don't give them targets to hit, you are setting yourself up for failure. So if you want to raise $5 million, let's say over 36 months, what are the goals of your fundraising department, right? How much money do they need to raise every month, every quarter, every year? Okay. These are targets you want to give them, not to be punitive. That's another thing we struggle with in our community, nonprofit community. But we set targets so that we can know how much progress we've made and how much closer we are. I know people who are on the other side of this who are scared of targets. They understand the importance of it, but they're scared of them because they don't want to make people work hard, or they struggle with holding people accountable. That's the thing we struggle with too in the nonprofit space. But targets are designed for any business, any person to know how much progress you've made. If you set a goal to lose weight at the top of the year, right, and you're trying to lose weight by the end of this year, you're going to have to set targets for every week, every month for you to see progress. If you don't see progress, you easily become frustrated. So as you see progress, you start to say, okay, what's working? How can we add more to that? How can we accelerate our regimen, whether it's our workout schedule, our sleep schedule, our diet, our eating plan, our shake plan, our meal replacement plan, whatever it is I'm doing, less stress, whatever the case may be, whatever I'm doing, I need to do more of it. That's why we have targets, right? So that you can do more of it and push towards the goal at hand. So when you have a fundraising goal of 5 million over 36 months, the monthly, quarterly, annual targets are designed to give you insight into how close we are, and so you can know where the money's coming from. Who's our major donor source? Individual donors? Is it institutions? Or is it grants? Is it events? Is it something else? Is it a partnership that's yielding just massive results? And if that's true, then we need to find how to tap into those things more to even further accelerate our progress, our results, and also possibly super exceed our goal of 5 million in 36 months. Maybe you raise 5 million in 24 months because you found something. You found a little thing that's really yielding results. Or maybe you keep your 36-month schedule and you raise 7 million. So now you can start to tap into the other goals you have for your organization, right? This is important for organizations, nonprofits, to share with their fundraising department. What are their goals? What are their targets? What do you want them to hit? What do you want them to achieve on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis? That means if they're going to have a portfolio of revenue sources, how many individual donors do they need to talk to, let's say, on a quarterly basis? Because everybody you talk to is not going to give you money. So how many people you need to talk to, and what percentage of those people you talk to are going to actually give, and what's the average gift of those individual donors? How many funders you need to talk to? How many funders you need to go out and have coffee with? How many funder applications do you need to submit to foundations in order for you to get the ones that are actually going to come through for the community center? How many events you need to have a year? Yeah, not just the one big gala, but how many sub-brand events can you create that can slowly but surely add dollars to the coffers that are getting you closer to 5 million? How many partnership events can you host and invest in and get a return for, right? Let's say another nonprofit, let's say another business, let's say anybody's having an event and you become an investor to support it, and the profit made from the event or the thing yields the results. Let's say you invest 10,000 and you will be given a 5% interest return on your money after the event. Like, that's kind of cool. No work. I got an investment, but we get a return on this. How much can we raise from that? Right? And what about traditional fundraisers? I'm not suggesting people should go out and start selling Girl Scout cookies, because I'm really not for those type of events and fundraisers. But even if you are going to do that anyway, what's the return on that? What's the outcome from that? Right? What about those type of fundraisers where you go to a local restaurant and say, hey, we're going to send a ton of people to you, and we're going to send them between this time and this time. Can you give us a percentage of revenue? What about referral fees? Yeah, what about referral fees to other businesses that says, all right, the local barbershop, hey, we're going to send a ton of our clients to you, right? And we know that it's going to be a heavy lift to kind of serve all those clients. But for every head you cut, which is, let's say, $20 a head, right? We'd like to get $3 off that, because we've created the traffic. We have become your marketing source. We know that it takes money to run this program. And let's say we ran 20, 40, 50, 75 people through your barbershop over the next 2 weeks. That revenue is going to be significant for the barber, for the barbershop, and then for your nonprofit. And what if it works and you say, well, wait a minute, Let's revisit this. Let's see how we can do this again. Let's see how we can fundraise again. Whatever is happening that's yielding results, you need to have the KPIs that measures these outcomes so that you know what to put more energy behind. And when you put more energy behind it, that means not only are you going to ask your fundraising department to focus more on it, you may tell some members of the fundraising department, leave your projects alone and spend more time on this thing that's generating results. Let's get a strategy. Let's get some standards in how we do this. And let's just make it happen. Let's increase outcomes. Focus, right? So giving your team goals that are subservient to the goals of the organization is so critical. And it can make a difference in the annual outcomes of your fundraising for your nonprofit. For those of you starting out, this is the level you got to rise to. It's going to take a while, right? It's going to be a process to get to that point. But you need to have goals for yourself. If you don't have a fundraising department, if you don't have an active board, if it's just you doing most of the fundraising, give yourself goals. Relax, breathe, give yourself goals, and start to look at the outcomes of those goals. You may not see the results you want, but you're going to see some results. And those results are going to tell you a story. And the story is going to tell you what the narrative is for your fundraising strategy over the next defined period of time. Hey everyone, this is Dr. William Clark here. I just wanted to come on really quick and say thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. William Clark podcast. We are here to help you simplify your processes so you can triple fundraising results to support the programs that mean so much to you. Would you be so kind to like, comment, and share this particular podcast? We are indebted to you for being faithful listeners to this particular podcast show, and we want to continue to spread this message to other people who can benefit from it. So please share this podcast episode and entire show with your colleagues, your friends, and people who you know can benefit from this. You can connect with us in two ways. You can go to drwilliampclark.com. Again, that's drwilliampclark.com, or you can visit us at mysixfigurefunding.com. Again, that's mysixfigurefunding.com. There you can register for our free upcoming webinar, How to Triple Fundraising Results Without Chasing Funders. It is possible, and I share with you the secrets on how to do that. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next episode.